Two enemies.
人が増加する中で厳格にすることなどを議論するチーム。
海外では規制している国もあるということなんですね。
Maneuvering through life is a daunting task, especially when you know that the game is rigged. Love, family, money. It's war. As a 25-year-old who is recently engaged, this feeling has become overwhelming. Not being enough, and I need to figure out what I'm doing, or is as constant in my mind as rudimentary necessities such as drinking enough water and making sure the light bill gets paid. I would have never guessed my routine scroll down r/documentaries would introduce me to the most formative film of my 20s, for better or for worse. Japan, a story of love and hate. By Sean McAllister. McAllister starts the film off informing us that he really had no intention of going to the Yamagata prefecture. McAllister was originally headed to Tokyo, and just like most things in life, he was diverted and somehow ended up meeting Naoki Sato, a 56-year-old failed businessman. Naoki suffers from a variety of different mental and physical ailments. Naoki drinks too much alcohol, smokes too many cigarettes, and has a wildly unhealthy relationship with the person he refers to as his girlfriend. Meet Yoshi. Yoshi works 2 full-time jobs to support Naoki and herself. She's also half his age. Naoki, after a multitude of failed business ventures and 3 failed marriages, was essentially left yenless. Naoki works part-time at the local post office. He works 5 days a week, 7 hours a day. Hardly part-time if you ask anyone in the Western world. When Naoki's not scooting around fetching insurance premiums, he finds himself as a makeshift stay-at-home husband. Something that would become a lot more popular in 2025, but taboo in 2008, not to mention extremely taboo in Japan. As we follow along Naoki, we learn more and more about him. We learn that Naoki is a bit of a rebel. His past includes filmmaking during the 1960s riots in Japan. The Anpo protests were a massive protest in Japan through the years of 1959 and 1960 against the United States-Japan Security Treaty, driven by fears of militarization, United States influence, and loss of sovereignty. Naoki mentions to McAllister at one point that his people brought over capitalism and hints that it ruined Japan. Naoki is a self-proclaimed anarchist, which in Japan is unheard of. McAllister mentions a popular phrase in Japan which helps describe Japanese society, deru kuji wa utaru, which roughly translates to the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. The relationship between Naoki and Yoshi is not only unconventional, but extremely unhealthy at times. Yoshi works 2 full-time jobs and totals over 15 hours most days. It's never explicitly said that Yoshi is a hostess, but it's very implied that she does some form of this work. McAllister asks if she kisses the customers or touches them. Yoshi cringes at McAllister's question. Yoshi explains her services are just drinks and conversations with rich men. Naoki usually drives the couple's car to her meetups, just a few blocks away of course so that Naoki is never seen. Yoshi needs to appear single in order for any of this to work. While Yoshi's working, Naoki heads home to clean and prepare Yoshi's food for when she gets off work. More nights than not, Yoshi returns drunk and red-faced after a night of being verbally mistreated by her customers. This is usually the part where the two begin to argue about their finances, being overwhelmed, and being unsatisfied. Yoshi is often displeased with Naoki's inability to be intimate. Naoki explains due to stress he's unable to perform sexually. McAllister mentions to the viewer that they often are never intimate with each other. McAllister asks if Yoshi would like Naoki to try Viagra. Yoshi becomes visibly excited by the idea but turns it down saying that they couldn't afford it. Then, McAllister asks if Naoki and Yoshi could share a smooch for the film. The two look at each other and go in for a kiss, and just barely touch each other with the tips of their noses. The 3 laugh off the awkwardness. After Naoki and Yoshi sleep off the alcohol, Yoshi provides Naoki with his daily 500 yen allowance, which in 2008 was roughly around 5 USD. He usually uses it on cheap convenience store alcohol and cigarettes. The dynamic between the two is constantly on the verge of chaos. It's a miracle they've been together for the past 5 years. Naoki gives Yoshi credit on certain occasions. Naoki claims without Yoshi he would be homeless and that he desperately needs her for support. Naoki comments that he's afraid Yoshi will find someone younger and better. Naoki also mentions that Yoshi still has a family, something Naoki no longer has and strongly longs for. These underlying circumstances create an unavoidable volatility that's felt throughout the majority of this film. There's one scene in particular that gets this point across in a gut-wrenching yet brutally open way. McAllister begins filming the two in a bar. Naoki and Yoshi are sharing drinks and conversation, most likely after a long day of work and chores. It almost seems like they're opening up to each other. Something Naoki expresses multiple times is that he craves to speak to Yoshi, to be open with her. Naoki makes an attempt to maneuver the conversation into something more serious and less playful. Yoshi tells Naoki that he's more difficult to talk to than her customers. This upsets Naoki, and he begins to go on a bit of a drunken rant about his pride. Yoshie quickly brushes him off and mentions that he certainly should be a little more humble considering his lack of independence. The conversation quickly goes left, with Naoki becoming more and more visibly upset. The tension in the room is high, especially with the type of conversation. A woman in her late 20s is financially supporting this man in his late 50s. As Naoki and Yoshie's conversation gets louder, more and more eyes are on them. This is visibly making the bar patrons and staff members very uncomfortable. This is when out of nowhere, Naoki lunges at Yoshie's neck and begins to choke her. Yoshie is yelling at Naoki to stop, which he eventually does. The altercation causes the two of them to create distance between each other. Not before, however, Yoshie grabs Naoki's glasses from the bar and crumbles them into pieces. McAllister continues to record and interview Yoshie a little before the three of them turn around and go back to Naoki and Yoshie's apartment. Naoki sits down to continue to drink as Yoshie takes a sleeping pill to get at least 5 to 6 hours of sleep before work. Yoshie settles into bed as McAllister and Naoki converse about what the state of the two's relationship is in. Naoki pulls out a few different pairs of glasses that Yoshie has broken so he can scrap together parts and salvage the most recent pair. Naoki tells McAllister she does that often, which begs the question, how often is Naoki putting his hands on Yoshie then? Naoki mentions that Yoshie will be leaving soon to visit her family. Naoki says that he will not be going anywhere, but that McAllister should go. Quite the odd situation considering Naoki and Yoshie have been together for over 5 years, and Naoki has never met Yoshie's family. What makes it even more odd is that Naoki and Yoshie's father are the exact same age. It's then decided McAllister will be attending in Naoki's place. We watch as McAllister and Yoshie head to her family's house. Seeing how the family is, it's quite surprising that Naoki has never accompanied Yoshie to any of her family get-togethers. One of Yoshie's sister even mentioned that they know that Yoshie and Naoki are dating and have been together for a long time. Yoshie's sister even makes it clear that Naoki is invited into their home. While the conversation is happening, we can see Yoshie is on the phone. As we pan over to Yoshie, it's clear she's on the phone with Naoki. Yoshie asks that Naoki remembers to clean up the apartment and cook some food for himself and eat something. McAllister mentions that Yoshie's father never specifically mentions Naoki by name, but he's also not the character that Naoki portrayed him to be. McAllister also states that the entire family is not what he expected at all. Yoshie's father asked McAllister quite the odd question. He asks what's the price of Viagra in London. McAllister comments that maybe Naoki and Yoshie's father have something in common after all. Approaching the tail end of this film, Naoki has mentioned multiple times about how some of his friends have severe stress and exhaustion from working at the post office, which is understandable. The days that McAllister joins Naoki for work, it seems that every morning starts off with a stat reflection, constantly thinking about more sales and how the staff must redeem themselves for a lackluster performance for the previous days. When talking about his coworkers, he mentions one specifically, a middle-aged man that works full-time at the post office and also picks mushrooms in his spare time. They call him the Mushroom Man. They visit the Mushroom Man because Naoki wants McAllister to interview the Mushroom Man. He wants to interview the Mushroom Man more specifically about what happened to his brother. The story the Mushroom Man tells is about the overworked brother who took his own life. The look on the Mushroom Man's face tells the entire story. Just for this one scene alone is enough to want to watch this film. Any sort of explanation I will attempt to add will not serve the scene justice, so I won't even attempt.
自ら命を絶ちました。本当に死ぬ人は。でも兄弟として命をとどめることはできませんでした。
I highly suggest you watch this one for yourself. The scene brings the attention for the importance of communication and taking time for yourself, understanding that we're people first and not slaves to the system. After the conversation, the film shows where Naoki's mind is at. Naoki is lost and broken. He's been chewed up and spit out by the system, living in a society that does not accept him. And at this point, he feels that not only society doesn't accept him, but the only person he really cares about and relies on doesn't accept him either. Naoki has not spoken to Yoshie in weeks. The pressure has built up to the point where they have completely ignored each other in their studio apartment for days upon days. McAllister mentions that it's gotten to the point where Naoki has gone so far that it's pushed him to the only conclusion he could come up with. Naoki knows what he must do now. The camera cuts to an all too familiar angle. We see the roads that lead to Yoshie's family home, but this time, it looks like McAllister's in the back seat, Yoshie's in the passenger seat, and Naoki's leading the way. For the first time ever, Naoki and Yoshie's family are going to meet. As the three head inside, McAllister mentions the tension. It's awkward. We can also clearly see that Naoki bows down to Yoshie's dad in an attempt to show respect. Hilarious in retrospect considering the age similarity regardless of the Japanese custom. The family makes casual conversation warming up to Naoki. McAllister reveals he brought Yoshie's father
an omiyage, a Japanese gift often brought when visiting somewhere or returning from travels. In this case, it's going to be the ultimate icebreaker. McAllister hands over the envelope to Yoshi's father. The rather expressionless man opens the envelope, and as the paper opens, his face shines with excitement and sure embarrassment knowing he's going to have to explain to the entire family what's inside. Viagra pills. Yoshi's father shoots out a warm handshake to McAllister and thanks him. Once Naoki sees what's in Yoshi's father's hands, Naoki makes a comment that he's going to need some as well. Yoshi's father comments that all the neighbors think that his family is odd considering the type of conversation that they are having. It's almost never talked about in Japanese culture. Yoshi's father continues about the importance of communicating and how much it's needed in their society. The family ends up heading to a local karaoke establishment to eat, drink, and sing their hearts out. It seems that after all the fear, Naoki finally has what he was searching for: a family. We cut to Naoki and McAllister's final conversation, talking about where he started and where he is now. Naoki thanks McAllister for interviewing him, and in their final conversation,
my kind of shadow, like shadow.
Stay in the shadow.
Yeah, but you like broken my shadow.
Sorry. I think it's good though. Good.
what is the hardest to endure is often the sweetest to remember.